Quantitative metrics are difficult to measure. And what are the best practices for demonstrating qualitative impacts in such cases?
Oh, wonderful. It's one of the beautiful questions. I love to do that actually. So, well, I think we are going to have some guests, but I think the guest came and has disappeared actually. So maybe there's some net issue. So if there is some guest, we will try to answer this question, and then we will kind of come back to this particular, sessions again, continue. Now, your question says that how does USCIS weigh evidence of original contribution of major significance in the fields where quantitative metrics are difficult to measure? Now, what happens is that, let's understand that original contribution is one of the most interesting criteria because it is one of the most difficult ones. As well as, after having studied over a couple of hundred of AOA cases, seeing a lot of petitions getting approved, RFEs and NOIDs, I have always seen that if your original contributions get approved, there is a higher chances that possibly your entire petition gets approved. Okay, now that's something is very interesting. So in a way, now this deduction can be derived from a fact that I am yet to see a single petition or a RFE or a NOID or a denial in AO where original contribution is approved. So it shows that if you focus, so it's a very good question. But the challenge here is that how to prove original contribution. The question here is related to if quantitative impacts like patents or some kind of revenue generation by virtue of your original contribution does not exist. Now the first thing is that what is the contextual significance in this? So in your original contribution, USCIS would evaluate contributions not only for their originality but for their tangible impact on the field. That would be one of the good ways to kind of do that. Now, this would involve demonstrating how the work has influenced best practices. You could have created some good models, good metrics yourself, which you yourself are kind of are doing it, and you can focus on the innovative nature of your work, on its endorsement by the experts. Second way could be you could do expert testimony. Now, there are certain specific case laws that allow that if in case of there are some legal precedents also. Even without the full access to data, expert opinion should be considered credible and substantial. Now, the third way to do that would be real-world application in terms of demonstrating how your contribution could solve a real-world problem. Remember, one interesting thing about any old contribution that you say, whether you write an article or anything, is what exactly the problem that you are solving, and if that approach has been adopted by companies. So that would be another way actually to do that. I mean, of course, lastly, it would be qualitative impact also. So what is the qualitative impact? How speed of solving the problem? What exactly you have impacted in all possible way? I think these are some of the way I would say that possibly one could potentially target this particular criteria. Okay. We are having a guest actually, but he's like moving in and out. I think there should be some net issue. So we will continue with our questions, and the moment we kind of get him in, we will definitely kind of continue with his questions. So meanwhile, let's go with the next question.
Yeah, of course. So the next question is from Raj. It says, "Hi, I'm completing my PhD in information technology this year. As an Indian citizen currently on H-1B visa, what options do I have for the EB1A category? Could you please guide me?"
Well, PhD by default does not give you a right for EB1A. Let's understand that very clearly here. One could, because it is you need to demonstrate your extraordinary ability. We always talk about in the Next League program the 3 dimensions of your EB1A. The first is your learning quantum. So there is something called as data, information, skill, knowledge, and wisdom. Definitely, a PhD puts you in a knowledge spectrum in all possibility. That's the first take, I would say this. Now, second is that what is your progressive work experience that would matter. That, okay, because of your knowledge, you have done some work and this is how it has been there. And the third is the impact factor. Now, by virtue of your PhD, if something has been applied, if there has created some benefit, you can do that. You see, remember for EB1A, there is no requirement for even education qualifications for that matter. So how you present yourself is going to, what is the impact factor, not how you present yourself, how you present the impact of your work is going to be more important. So you can go for, provided, we need to know more detail what is the problem that you are solving, as in the previous question. If you are using a sciences as a field, then in terms of what's your citation counts, all these things, aspects will have to be considered. We have a guest here called Hari Krishnan M. So we will be getting him on the screen, and then we will ask him questions, and then we will proceed with the next question. So Hari Krishnan, just be ready if you are listening to this. So hi Hari Krishnan, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you for joining us.
I'm actually having some audio issues. The voice is breaking.
Okay, we can hear you well.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
So continue with your question. Yeah, what's your question?
So actually, I just saw your program, about your program last week. I booked my first call with Megan Monday.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So what's your question? Tell me.
I wanted to know, of course, Megan answered all my questions, but I just want to join in and hear from you.
Yeah, please continue. I think there is a break here because there is. Yeah, what's your question? Because you are interrupting. There is a lot of interruption actually.
Yeah, I don't know why the audio is not very clear.
Okay, please go ahead. What is your question?
Yeah, so actually, it's actually about the program. So if I join, can I be in the program until I get my green card through EB1A?
Yeah, definitely, that's what the whole intention is. It's a 6-month program, and if you are doing your work well, then definitely we'll tell you about how to proceed, how to continue. Definitely, we can help you for that. Yes.
Yeah.
So definitely, we'll be
because I want to get it, but I don't know whether I can reach there in 6 months. But whatever it takes.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely. So you reach out to us, and we'll be happy to kind of talk on that. But definitely, for the first 6, we'll talk to you about the first 6 months, and we'll see how best we can help you. We have, in fact, today we'll be announcing it. Yesterday, we got one person getting EB1A from data science, and day before yesterday, again an AI expert got it. So we have 22 EB1A achievers. On an average, they have worked with us from 6 to 12 months actually. So we'll be happy to help you out with that. Okay. Anything else?
Okay.
Do you have any other question, Hari Krishnan?
No, I don't have any other questions. No.
Wonderful. So be in touch with Megan, and we'll be happy to help you in all possible ways. Is that fine?
All right. Sure.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So, guys, that was Hari Krishnan. He was asking about the next league program, and we'll continue with other questions also we have. So, thank you very much. Wonderful. Now, let's go with the next question, Mario.
Yes, sir. So Anonymous asked, I was working on my EB1A profile as a data and AI professional in the banking industry. I understand that participation in evidence, especially related to judging and authorship papers, should focus on data and AI field. However, it's not also necessary for all of this to be specific to banking sector, is it?
Okay. Well, it is not, because what we always suggest something is called as an auxiliary expertise. So that builds you toward that expertise. Each and everything cannot be like, for example, you cannot get let us say you are nano expert in genetics. I'm just making it up actually. So suppose you have an expert in DNA analysis of plants, let us say, to produce a healthy plant. No, you cannot get an award in that. There may not be a membership associations in every specific field that you are. Definitely, you can do that. I don't see this as a necessary requirement or mandatory requirement for this, but you will have to build up a case at how it is related to your field and how this is, what was the merit of you participating in that particular purpose and event. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So, I think is a data and AI professional in the banking sector, or it could possibly be more in a fintech sector. It could potentially be in any other aspect in it. Authorship and papers, because what happens sometimes it is also important that what is, by virtue of your expertise, what is the broader impact that you are creating in allied fields also, which is also very, very important. So that's why we always suggest that fundamental expertise should be a niche where you should talk about that. But when it comes to criteria and other aspects, one could always go a little deeper and one could always go a little broader actually in that sense. Okay? I think that should help. Yeah. What's the next question?
The next question is also from Anonymous. I have been featured in a well-known online technology podcast discussing my innovative work in cybersecurity. Could this be used to fulfill the requirements of media coverage for EB1A?
Absolutely. It can do it. It demonstrates your expertise. But I would always suggest certain kind of evidences here for this particular purpose, that what did you actually speak? Could you have, because podcast in one way or the other is a media, but whether it is a celebrated podcast or it is just another podcast is very important. So do you have a metrics for success or outreach for that particular podcast is very important, which should be validated essentially by a third party if possible. So if you are able to do that, then it would make sense. Otherwise, I would suggest that doing something like this could possibly help you to build up a totality for yourself actually. Definitely one should be, you see, the basic idea for EB1A is, let's understand that there has to be some kind of a continuous improvement. Let's look at any person today. You randomly pick up 5 people in the world whom you think are extraordinary. Let's see how they live, how their routine could be potentially be. Do they do a 9 to 5 jobs? Go fishing on a Sunday, relaxing on a Saturday, Sunday, watching Netflix? No, people don't. Extraordinary people won't do that actually. I mean, in true sense. So I would rather say that in terms of if you are doing something like this, that should aid and you should give up. But no, my only concern would be presenting the right evidence for this particular purpose. Okay.
Absolutely.
So what's the next question now?
So the next question is from Anonymous as well. Did you see any conflict of interest to publish your research articles as a software professional with your employer? What kind of measurements did you take before publishing scholarly articles for citations? Did you take approval or check with your HR on policies?
Well, I inherently see a lot of conflict in the question, and I'm a little confused here, because do you see any conflict of interest to publish in your research article with your employer? So are we talking about if an employer is publishing, then it is an internal document which could potentially be looked upon as a white paper. I do not see a challenge with that, because employers do prepare. We had a particular student where he was working with one of the biggest accounting firms, and accounting firms used to come out with a lot of budgets and kind of financial forecast and a couple of other things. So it was more of a white paper, and it had a very broader outreach. So one could definitely, what is the outreach and what is the impact? If there are some other people, other agencies who are talking about that, one can always use that also as well. Now that is the measurement, I would say. Actually, there is no measurement before publishing. Do you take approval or check with your HR on policies? I'm not sure, because if the company is publishing it, then definitely you don't need to take an approval, because it's a company that is publishing it. So I don't see, and I don't see that getting cited anywhere, because it may not make any sense from that perspective actually. So let's yes, I would rather call that as a white paper or just a paper possibly. And to go more specific, we need more details. But yes, the entire paper can possibly be given to the, when USCIS at the time of filing the application, I would say. And let's take a last question for the day.
Yeah, absolutely. So Anonymous says, is it possible to qualify for EB1A visa without having scholarly articles and citations? What alternative criteria can be emphasized in such cases?
Absolutely. We have at least a dozen people in the program out of 22 people who got EB1A. Everybody may not have any scholarly articles or citations. For example, even I did not have that. These are relevant if it is relevant to your field. Let's understand that what's your expertise. You see, the idea, I would just go by, I always like to step back here and say that, okay, what is the objective of EB1A is that you are an expert. Your expertise has a benefit to the USA, and you will continue in that field of expertise. That's the primary objective here. Now, to demonstrate, and you have to use those all criteria as a levers to prove these 3 things. If you can do this, even without citations and without any citations or scholarly articles, that's wonderful. Now, there is no alternative criteria that can be emphasized in such cases. So maybe you have written a white paper, possibly. So that could be a wonderful thing to do. So that's the way I would like to kind of respond to this. Definitely, because all businessmen, people in the business criteria, people who are in the sales, for example, a good way. I have studied a case study of a coach, for example, a business coach. I don't think they wrote any single article actually, a scholarly article in any, or there were no citations for that matter. But yes, people have earned EB1A based on the meritorious disposition of their expertise. I think there is one last question. I think we'll take up that also, and then we'll call it a day.
Yeah, absolutely. So this last one is from Anonymous as well. I've been researching in the field of genetics for the past 11 years and have received multiple awards for my work. Will this prove my critical role and meet the award criteria?
Okay, now this is a very open-ended question that, what have you done actually? What is the output of the research? Who is using your research? What awards have you received? Who gave that award? Whether they were an internal award or an external award. But prima facie, based on the question, it looks like definitely it will prove a critical role. But just kind of we need to check whether the awards will be relevant for the purpose of EB1A or not. We need to see that actually. So that's the way I would like to see that.
Absolutely.
Okay. So I think that's all for the day, guys. So thank you for coming, and thank you, Harikrishan, for coming, and we'll be in touch with you. Now, if you want to join here for the program, or if you kind of have any questions, please reach out to Mario, me, or my team. We'll be happy to take this. And if you are looking forward for your EB1A journey next week program, please reach out to us again. We'll be happy to help you. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful day, guys. Thank you for joining us today. If you have any further questions or need personalized guidance, please reach out to us. We are here to help you every step of the way in your journey towards achieving your American dream. Let's connect and make it happen together.